Noah Zion, the Hilchos Melochim, learning the Rambam. Fabiano, we explained, Shamalche Beis David Donen Oison, that the kings of the household of David are judged. We state witness regarding them. So we'll go down to the Peirush, that it says that they can be judges in a court. V'donen oisam, and they are judged. Umidin alein, and we say witness about them. Umidin alein, you say witness about them. The kings of Israel, the Chacham made an edict they should not judge. You don't judge them. They don't say witness. Olov, and you do not say witness about him. Nay, sheliban gasbahem, because their heart is very haughty within them, and if we'll come to bring it to justice, then it will come out of it a stumbling block, and we will lose out in the religion. As mission cites Hilchos Sanhedrin, Perik Beis Halacha Hey. And Malchei Beis David, the Rambam writes there that the kings of the household of David, even though you don't put them in the Sanhedrin, like in Halacha Dalet, because you can't disagree with the king, but they can judge the people. Sanhedrin Danim is HaMelech. The Sanhedrin can judge the king, but Malchei Yisrael, you don't judge them, and they're not judged, and you don't judge them because they are not, they do not humble themselves to the words of Torah. Maybe something terrible will come out of it. And now here it says, V'yovim and adovat hakolo, they have said aladas, so that something will happen to the religion because they are not humble to the words of Torah. Very similar to what we write here, because their hearts are haughty within them. Hilchos Yesodei, he explains that the kings of Israel are considered strong men, and therefore they do not take the advice of the Dayanim of the Sanhedrin. The Mishnah says that a Melochim is not any less than a Kohen Godol, that you do not state witnesses. He does not state witness for any person, only for the king. Therefore, the kings of the household of David, you state witness about them, but he doesn't say that a king can state witness for others, as he does in Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah. That's not because it's not an honor to the Kohen Godol to come to state witness. Because it certainly is not an honor for the king to come state witness. Now, can a king say witness when it comes to death penalties, meaning to save someone? Hilchos Yesodei, in the laws of witness, in the first chapter, Halacha Beis, he says, if the witness was a wise person and Beis Din were less wise than him, since it's not his glory they should go before them, the positive commandment of honor of Torah is greater, and no Talmid Chacham is obligated to state witness. When is it so? By money, but by witness that has to do separate somebody from forbiddenness, and or death or lashes. He does say witness, because it says we don't consider that there's anyone who's wise when it comes to regarding things that have to do with godly forbiddennesses. With his Chil Hashem, we don't care about the glory of even the teacher, the sage. Because the Mishnah questions if the king is obligated to say witness about people regarding death penalties in order to separate them from an Issur. And we find in Hilchos Yesodei that a Kohen Godol does not say witness in any case, only regarding the king. Certainly a king does not say witness regarding life situations or to separate someone from an Issur. The Mishnah cites the Mishnah in Sanhedrin 18a. the king, you don't judge, and he is not a judge, you don't judge him. It doesn't say witness, and you don't say witness against him. The Gemara 19a says, Rabbi Yosef, this is only when we say the king, we're talking about the kings of Israel. The kings of the household of David do judge, and we judge them. Because it says, Yemio, Beis David, Yama Hashem, so says the Lord Hashem, Dinoi, Aboike Mishpat. And the Gemara brings that it's written in Savanya, it's Kaishu Vikushu. Lakish says, make yourself embellished and then embellish others, because a person can't judge others if you can't judge him, because he is not found within that area. He cannot tell others to do so if he can't be found at fault. The kings of Israel we don't judge because of what happened. By Yanei HaMelech, there was a slave that murdered, and Shiurim Shetach said to the Chachamim, we have to judge him. He sent to Yanei HaMelech, your slave killed someone. Yanei sent, we should judge him. So they said to Yanei, he has to come, because it says by an ox that kills, that the owner has to be present. The Torah obligates the owner to be present. Rashi explains that even that what he owns in the slave is considered like owning in an ox. That if the owners have to kill the slave, it's causing a loss of money to the owner. Therefore, he has to be present. Yanei HaMelech came and sat. Hashem Mashiach says, telling you judge, he has to stand. You're not standing before us, before he who said the word is standing. As it says in Dvarim 19:17, and they shall stand the two people who have the disagreement before Hashem, before the Bezdin, before the court. Said, they will not stand. And Shiurim Mashiach was his brother-in-law. The other members of the Sanhedrin will tell me. One of Shiurim Mashiach, the Yeshon Yaminoi. So Shiurim Mashiach said, okay, the fellows on the right, go ahead. So they should say their words. They looked at the ground, they didn't stand up. He looked at those who were left, and they too stared at the ground. So Shiurim Mashiach said, your thoughts do not adhere to that which the Torah says. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows the thoughts of bad man should come and punish you. Immediately Gabriel came and caused all of them to die. In that moment they said, that a king who's not in the household of David cannot judge, nor is he judged. He doesn't say witness, nor do you say witness about him. It would seem from the Gemara that until the days of Yanei HaMelech, who lived in the time of the second place of Hamikdash, they did judge Jewish kings, and therefore Shem ben Shedach called them, because the Mishnah emphasizes that it depends whether the Melech is righteous or an evil. And he says, why does it say here that you don't judge a king of Israel at all? And he didn't write if they're wicked. Why do they make the edict that a king who's not of the household of David doesn't stay because of one time thing that about somebody who was not a righteous person? Furthermore, they question if the whole reason that you don't judge the kings of Israel is because of what happened with Yanei HaMelech. Why does he bring the posuk, the Yanei Beis David, that says Dinoi Aboika Mishpat? They judge, if not, the lay is Beis Yisrael. If they learn from the posuk, how could they judge the Yanei HaMelech? Im lo nu ken, you posuk. If they learned from a posuk, how could they judge Yanei HaMelech, who's much later? Why, after this situation, they mention that Malchus Beis David, you do judge. When the time of Beis they weren't any Malchus Beis David. I guess the Mishnah answers that Yosef emphasized that because it says Dina Laboika Mishpot, even if something bad will come out from the king's household of David, they would not have made the edict against the posuk. Because Malchus Beis David have the rule that they have the permission to judge others, therefore you have to be able to judge them. Again, because of this, if you have to do on yourself before you're doing others. And they only said the Gzeira, the edict on Malchus Beis Yisrael, because the posuk does not refer to them, so they can't go against the posuk, and therefore they mentioned it by the second bayah based on Mikdash, even though there was no Malchus Beis David. Halacha Mishnah questions that even though Menadin Malchus Beis David are judged, but if it occurred by Malchus Beis David a stumbling block from it, they should have enacted, they should not be judged, and they should not judge, and they shouldn't be judged. And furthermore, he says, why doesn't he say that only by Malchus Beis David, where there's a posuk, you judge them? Obviously, there's no posuk that they can be judged. You don't judge them in Torah. Therefore, the Lechem Mishnah says that really there's no difference between the kings of Israel and the kings of the household of David. But it says in the posuk Beis David, because David always came to true judgment, like we find in the Dak in Yirmiyahu. It says in 21:12, "Vayhi David oiser mishpat v'tzedakah," that the posuk mentions him because he did righteousness and judgment. According to the Radak, it seems that this is the same rule would apply to the kings of Israel. Yosef is of the opinion that kings may judge even from Yisrael. And he brings a proof from the kings of David that it says that in the morning they judge. But this would apply as well to the kings of Israel. And the Gemara questions, if that's the case, why kings of Israel are not judged? And they answer because of the incident that took place. So the kings of David, who are humble, they put him back on the Halacha, the Torah Halacha. But if something would have happened, they would have made an edict by them as well. Going on, Bekiva Ega points out that, like the Gezer Mishnah, the kings of David, you don't make an edict because it says in the posuk that they have the ability to judge. It's found in Shita Mekubetzes in Sanhedrin in the name of Toisus HaRosh. It would seem, since HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded them to judge, the Chachamim could not make an edict that they should not judge. And he brings a point that you don't make an edict that which is written in Torah from Bava Metzia. The Rambam made an edict not to lend money to even a non-Jew with interest more than he can afford. The Gemara questions, it says in the Torah, the Nochi Sashir, that you should bite. So the Torah says, what's the question? Only Midrabanan is forbidden to lend, but Minat Torah it's permitted. So we see that since the Torah says you must do so, the Chacham can't say you should not do so. So the Torah is right in the Metzia. With the mitzvah of Torah, the Chacham cannot make an edict to forbid it. And it says, Dina Laboika Mishpat, the king. The Chacham didn't make an edict. The Kiva Ega cites the Taz in Yeridea and a few other places that the Chazal do not have the ability to forbid something that specifically is permitted in the Torah. And the Kiva Ega says, there's no proof of the Torah in Bava Metzia, in the case of Mishnah, because only when it commands you, the Chacham cannot forbid it. But the Torah says it's permitted, then you can forbid it. The Chidah infers in the Shita, the opinion of the Kezer Mishnah, that even against the posuk in the Nevi'im, which because the posuk is not in the Torah, you don't make an edict, because it says in Yirmiyahu, as we said, Dina Laboika Mishpat. The Maharash Al-Ghazi, the Gam Sefer Rotzav Ahava, explains the words of Yosef and Sanhedrin, that we do not permit them to judge only by the kings of Israel, not the kings of the house of Beis David, like the case of Mishnah. Before the action of Yanei HaMelech, the kings of Beis David and the kings of Yisrael did judge. And they explain Dina Laboika Mishpat refers to both the kings of David and the kings of Israel. But after the incident with Yanei happened, who was a king of Israel, so they understood retroactively that the pasuk is referring only to the kings of Israel, because from the kings of the household of David. Because from the household of Israel we see stumbling blocks came out. And therefore, only the kings of the household of David judge and are judged. But the kings of Israel do not judge, and you don't judge them. Vidyahu also explains, Yosef, that they only enacted that a king does not judge only by the kings of Israel. But the kings of Beis David, that says by the Posuk, they could not make an enactment. The Gemara says it can't be that just because the Posuk says Beis David, therefore the kings of Israel not can judge, because it's not a proof. And we see that this is the reason for this enactment, meaning that the posuk itself is not that clear. It says that therefore they enacted it only by Machon, that Machon Yisrael cannot judge because of Yanei HaMelech, and not that they did not forbade the household of David because it says Peirush in the posuk. If there are questions for the Rambam, besides the kings of Israel, so it seems the Rambam is also it doesn't bring down what's the Halacha in fact, and not what's when Mashiach will come, because when Mashiach will come, will only be kings from Beis David. So the Merkevas HaMishnah asks, but the Marach HaBalafia is of the opinion that in the days of Mashiach there will be also Machon Yisrael, as we learned earlier from Shol, that there will be a Mishlo Melech. The Chido, it pushes his words off and points out that they will not be kings of Israel. And the answer is that the way of the Rambam is to bring all the halachas, even those that in the future will not be in effect.